Hey everybody, I'm the Drink Pro, and today I'm drinking the fourth batch of Amrut Greedy Angels. What's up everybody, Kyle the Drink Pro here with you yet again. Thank you guys so much for liking this video, commenting, sharing it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing helps me a lot, makes my job a lot easier, so I really appreciate it if you can do it. Today, I'm really excited about a pour, and I know I say that a lot, but boy, I'm really excited about this one because this is something that you can almost never find. This, my friends, is Amrut Greedy Angels. This is a 10-year-old Indian whiskey. It's a peated whiskey. It's finished in rum casks, and there weren't very many of these brought into the United States. I believe there were 150 bottles total that made it to the US. Now, why is this called Greedy Angels? Well, you have to understand a little bit about the climate in which it's being aged. This whiskey is aged in Bangalore, which is a very warm place. It can get up to 40 degrees Celsius there. That kind of temperature can cause radical evaporation and really take away a lot of the whiskey. Remember, the Angel share is the whiskey that evaporates in the barrel during the aging process. So to get something that's 10 years old or 12 years old in those environments, not only is it difficult to make it palatable, think about Texas whiskey. A lot of it's pretty young, and that's because 10 or 12 years in that climate will really ruin the palate and make it just too astringent and oaky. So to get good whiskey in that climate is difficult, and to make a lot of it is incredibly difficult because the Greedy Angels are taking a big share of the whiskey. Now, I tried to find more information on this bottle. I really couldn't find much online. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right places. I don't do a lot of research into Indian whiskeys, but this product, I believe there are 450 bottles total made. Like I said before, 150 made it to the US, and it's 57.1% alcohol. This is the fourth whiskey in the Greedy Angels series, and this one is a peated whiskey that is then finished after its initial aging in ex-rum casks. So that's kind of an interesting pairing. There's a lot of fun things about this whiskey that I'm excited to try out because it's really doing some cool exploration that you're not going to see in a lot of whiskeys. One other thing that I don't want to downplay is the price point on this whiskey. This is an extraordinarily expensive whiskey. I believe it's between $800 and $900 US. That's retail. That's like what you're going to see at a good store. I've seen it as high as $1,000 retail online. It's an incredibly expensive whiskey. So I don't have a lot of whiskey to taste, but I am very happy to have any of it at all because it's incredibly expensive, hard to get your hands on. It's a rare pour. Big shout out to Dave and Joseph at Vine and Table for providing me with this sample. Vine and Table is a great place to get all kinds of whiskey. I unfortunately think they are sold out of the Greedy Angels, but nonetheless, it's definitely a place that's worth checking out. Some very interesting, rare whiskeys from around the world. They've got a pretty good selection of whiskeys from places you might not have tried yet. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pour out this interesting Greedy Angels whiskey. I want to make sure I get every drop of this because this is pricey. Oh boy, the nose is just beautiful though. Oh. Now, I know some people don't like peated scotches. I know that's sort of a flavor that turns people off, but I tell you what, this is one of the fruitiest peated whiskeys I've ever smelled. Yes, it has that brininess. Yes, it has that smoky, peaty quality. You're just never going to escape that. If you're making a peated mash bill, if you're making a peated whiskey, it's going to be a little briny, it's going to be a little smoky, it may even be meaty, it may even be medicinal. Those things are hard to escape. But the amount of interesting stuff going on alongside the peat is really, really wonderful. This is just an incredibly balanced nose. I get like red vines and cherries. I get honey. Oh, and almost like the cream filling on like a Twinkie. That creaminess. That sweet, creamy. One of the notes that is actually on the Amrut website, which I wish they gave more information about the process or the whiskey making itself, but they focus pretty much on tasting notes. And one of their tasting notes is Jaffa cakes. Based on the smell on this, I am 100% believing that Jaffa cake is in this. That's kind of an obscure note for some people in America, but Jaffa cakes is really happening in here. I don't typically make it a point to read the tasting notes from other websites, but that one just kind of stuck out to me because it's a unique note, and they didn't have much else information, so that's what I read, and that's what stuck in my mind. It's just such a wonderful desserty whiskey. It really just smells like dessert. And, you know, the peat is there, no question, but it takes a back seat on the nose. The peat is along for the ride. It's like you're having dessert out by the sea or something. or by a campfire. Maybe a campfire by the sea. I don't know. I get sort of this subtle almond extract quality, and it all kind of fits into this whole cake vibe I'm getting from it. Almond extract is something that you see in a lot of desserts, even things that not necessarily almond flavored. Oh, and then and then every once in a while you go back to the nose and you just get this punch of peat and this smoky, ashy, almost like slightly medicinal. This is an amazingly complex nose. If I let it sit there for a while, it gets sweeter and creamier, but then I stir it and put my nose in it and it becomes peaty again. I'm starting to bring out a little bit of apple and cinnamon. That's sort of making an appearance now. But that sourness, it's almost like this medicinal. Oh, geez. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. That almond extract became this like shortbread cookie. Holy shit. Oh, this is so good, guys. I haven't even tasted it, and I'm so excited about this. I could nose this for like an hour. I'm not going to subject you to that, but I could. I could sit here and nose this for an hour. Because every time I put my nose in it, it changes. It becomes something different. It's a little bit more peaty. It's a little bit sweeter. It's a little bit fruitier. It's a little bit nuttier. It's a little bit more herbal. It's a little bit more floral. Like, it is all over the map. All right. I have to go in for a taste of this. I'm excited about this one. All right, here we go. Let's hope I didn't hype it up too much. Whoa, you have to like peaty whiskeys to like this. I'll tell you that right off the bat. The nose is very deceiving. This is not that sweet dessert cake. This is a peaty, almost meaty whiskey. Yeah, see, after tasting it and going back to the nose, that peatiness just becomes really prominent, really almost overpowering. It was so subtle and unique and complex on the nose initially, but then after tasting it, it becomes a little bit more narrow. I'm going to give it a couple more tastes. I mean, I got a couple more sips left before this is all gone, but it's not necessarily a good thing if you don't like that peaty profile. Okay, on that second sip, the peatiness is definitely still there, but you start to get this sweet woodiness. You can tell it's been in a cask for 10 years in a very hot climate, but the wood isn't overpowering. It's not too astringent. It's not too tannin-filled. It's just definitely woody. Oh, and the finish is wonderful on this. You get this peaty, nutty combo finish, almost a little salty even on the finish. That's a very cool way for this pour to end. You could just kind of sit there and let it linger in your mouth. All right, I think this is going to be my last taste. I did not have a lot of this whiskey, but I'm glad to have what I had. Yeah, starting to get a little bit of citrus. Not really fruity, not super sweet either. You know, I tell you what, the amazing, fantastic, unique, crazy nose on this is not the same as the palate. That being said, I really like the palate on this. It is a beautiful, classic, peated whiskey with some additional added sweetness from the rum, I presume, and some additional added oakiness and nuttiness from the climate. So it accentuates some really valuable ends to accentuate on a peated whiskey. It gives you an interesting journey, but it's there very much in the peated lane. The nose would make you think this whiskey is unlike anything that's ever existed. It's such a unique, crazy nose. The palate, however, is pretty consistent, classic Islay with a couple of different accentuated ends. It's definitely smoky, it's definitely peaty, it's got a little hint of medicinal, but the time in a cask in a very hot climate like India gives it some more woodiness, some more nuttiness, and it's not too bitter, which I really thought was cool and I really enjoyed. The sweetness from the rum finish is also prominent on the start of the whiskey. It's a sweet peat, which almost becomes this meatiness to me. It reminds me a little bit of the Lagavulin Offerman edition, at least at the start, but with some more interesting, nuanced, accentuated edges. So, is this a good whiskey? Absolutely. It's a fantastic whiskey, even. Is it worth $800 or $900? Probably not. I think what you're paying for is, first off, the difficulty in making something like this. You're making a 10-year-old peated whiskey in very hot, aggressive climates in India where it's going to lose a lot to the Angels. And that's part of the name. You're also paying for a very beautiful presentation. The box is gorgeous. It's got crystal. It's very, very nice. So, you know, you're paying for a lot of other elements besides the whiskey. And that's not to say the whiskey isn't very, very good. It's just, this is not a purchase where you're thinking about dollars in terms of value. This is almost like a status purchase in a way. It's like you don't think about pinching pennies when you're buying a Rolex. Like, you want the coolest Rolex that does everything and looks just the way you want it. Or you want the best Lamborghini. You don't buy a budget Lamborghini. You buy a Lamborghini that does everything exactly how you want it. That kind of uniqueness, that story that's going to be behind it, that tailoring towards your profile and exactly what you want, that's what this is giving you. And so that's why you're going to pay $800-900 for it. Like I said, it's a absolutely fantastic whiskey. I'm so glad that I was able to try it. Thank you so much, Vine and Table, for providing me with this sample. But I don't think I will be adding this particular pour to my whiskey shelf. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate you guys as always. I'm going to have to go get myself another pour, and you guys keep drinking like professionals. Cheers. A few drops left.